Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am going to be showing you, with a very special guest, how to solder and also how to heat shrink. Come on please, special guest. That would have been a disaster. That could have ended really badly actually. Right. Yeah. So in today's video we're going to give you a tutorial on how to wire up some string lights. No, you don't need that. So we're going to have to connect this solar panel up to these fairy lights. A dog or a cat ran through them when I set up for a customer, and sadly they got broken. So we're going to fix that in today's video, and we're going to fix it by showing you how to use a soldering iron and also heat shrink later on in the video. First we're just going to focus on the soldering iron and how we are going to connect these string lights up to the solar panel. Now first things first, we need to figure out which polarity the string lights hooks up to on the solar panel. Now some solar panels flip their polarities to give effects throughout string lights, as when you put an LED backwards in a circuit, it either doesn't light up or all the others don't light up and that one lights up. When you switch the polarity, different lights come on, so the LEDs that are backwards don't turn on, then they turn on, and the ones that were the correct way around turn off. So our soldering iron here should be nice and hot. So what we always like to do, well what I always like to do, is I like to get my solder out and I like to put a little bit of flux on the end, like just very tiny, because you don't want a lot. Now what flux does is it makes it easier for the solder to melt, like quicker, and helps transfer heat, and also helps make a good connection to a circuit board. So if you were to not have flux, you might ruin a trace pad, or the solder doesn't even stick to the trace pad. So this one here used to come with a sponge that you clean the end with, but over the years it's disintegrated and it's just horrible to work with. So I use sandpaper. Now this isn't good for a soldering iron, but
Is that why it's blunt?
Yeah, that's, well, when I got it, it wasn't actually very pointy anyway, so it pretty much doesn't matter. You can get special tools where you can make very fine points, and that is really crucial when you're working with tiny circuit boards and tiny components. So first things first, we're going to see if the solder will melt if the iron's hot enough. Yeah, now solder is melting.
To look like here is hotter.
Yeah, but this is the actual end that we're going to have to use, so if it doesn't melt on the end, then we can't really solder with it. I'm going to go ahead, find some sandpaper.
Because I seem to be incompetent to be able to strip that. I am then gonna,
If you can hunt down some sandpaper for me, there should be sandpaper in the cupboard. It should be yellow or red. So with these ones it's quite difficult. You have to find the smallest one, and you also need to twist and then pull. It's very strange how these ones work. They must be bent from the factory. Right, so we need to figure out what the polarity is of these wires. So our fairy lights are over here, if they're in view. No, they're not. So here's our fairy lights. Now usually the positive has got dots on it or some type of marking, and the negative either has no marking or is just black. So on the board we've got a 1 and a 0 where the cables used to go. So 1 usually means positive and 0 usually means negative. do you want to connect it? So figure out which wire is dotted, so it's not that polarity.
Is that dotted or is that from... Okay, this one's dotted, so that'll probably be one. One.
Yep, starting to flicker over it.
If I can keep them...
Okay, so that's the correct polarity. As you can see, they're flashing.
I mean, they're struggling, but they're flashing.
So the battery is kind of flat because it's been in storage for quite some time, waiting for a video like this to happen. So what we're gonna do
twist these to get them
is we need to get the cables through this waterproof bung, as you can see here. The cables need to go through that and then into the system again. Now some of these can come apart, but when they come apart, they just lose their waterproofness. And one is through. Sorry for the visuals. Working with tiny bits can get very
difficult.
Yeah. Okay, we've got them both through now. I need to get a close up to the camera.
Oh,
what's happened there?
oh no, these are... it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay, well, as you can see, once I zoom out, we've now got the bung on the end of the waterproof seal bung on the end of the two wires, with the wires into the solar panel.
Well,
Let's get it now.
Sorry about this, really bad.
While that's happening, I am going to sharpen my soldering iron tip so it's easier to...
Sorry, what? You're sharpening?
Yeah. This isn't I don't recommend this, but this has been... this is like a miniature, almost teaching level type of soldering iron. The soldering irons that you really want have heat control, so you can choose exactly what temperature.
I had those at school.
Yeah, those ones are for more pros. Right now I've got like a straight into mains. Pardon?
Or school, apparently.
Yeah, well, school needs to have the finest tech to teach the best skills.
Yeah. Especially in something
So
like...
you can see the difference now, where it's kind of shiny on the end, and it's dark. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is all prepped and ready. I'm just trying to reinstall the waterproof lining.
Okay.
Well, that's not holding very well, but yeah, no, that's not gonna hold. Oh well. So Sam's gonna solder the ground, I suppose.
So the dotted is positive, so it should be that one and that one. Right, so we've got the polarity around the wrong way, so we'll flip the cables. And look at that, it's opened.
Well, we no longer have a waterproof seal, but we'll still use it to show that how to solder.
Yep.
It probably won't ever be used in the field.
So we've already got a little bit of solder on the pin, but there's not a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some more.
And what I like to do, personally, I just like to break off a chunk.
Okay. I usually just keep it on the reel so I can wrap it up afterwards. Okay. Can we get a little bit of flux on the end so it's more likely to melt. You don't want too much. If there's too much, then it's too oily and doesn't work well either. There you go. So now we've got quite a bit of solder to work with, which makes it easier to work.
But you still bring more. That's what I do.
It's the wrong clarity. Stop check. Okay. So what I usually like to do is, when I get the chance, I like to wrap my wire around the connection.
Oh yeah, I suppose that makes it more solid.
Sometimes it's fiddly. Usually I use some pliers, but I can't seem to find them. In fact, I'm going to strip this a bit more.
Do you? Oh, you do that.
Yep, we'll do the
Then you guys, this is a bit of a tutorial. You guys can just do it however you guys feel is best.
I mean, it takes a lot of patience to learn the art of soldering. I'm still learning, that's why occasionally I don't get very good solds.
Call it a weld.
Now the reason why I like to do this is because it definitely makes a connection, and if it feels strong, then you've done it right.
Now you just melt it and it should be done.
Okay, so I've made a pretty good connection. Let's make sure that the lights still work. Yes, they still work, but very dim because...
Hang on, Sam, can we get a good zoom in on yours, your soldering rack? Get in nice and close. Nice and close. You can kind of see it if you can't.
So we're going to heat the end up. It's over the curve a little bit more.
Fun fact about soldering irons. You can use them to glue bits of 3D printed objects together.
Okay, so there we are. We've got light now. So all we have to do is connect the last terminal, and this is Eli's job. Let's see how he does it. Also, when you are soldering, try your best not to smell or inhale the fumes. It might smell good, but it's really bad for you.
If it smells good, there's something wrong with you.
Well, see, my dad really likes the smell of it, but it's actually really bad for you. It's worse than smoking, effectively.
Well, it is metal, so...
It's heavy metal. So there's... On the left there's Eli working, and on the right there's my one. It's been soldered.
Come on.
When working with a soldering iron, try your best not to melt any plastic or the wire, as this can lead to a point for water to come in and corrode the wire, or just short something out.
Or very much even more dangerous chemicals.
Yep. We'll actually get some proper light in here. Might make it easier to see. Should have done that from the start. Turn the main light on.
Ah, I thought you were using flux.
I just like to use flux because it makes it melt quicker on impact to the soldering iron. But other people can use it without flux.
Capable of. Sometimes they do expect you to have 3 hands. Luckily, the ones at school have a third hand. What would happen if you stuck this straight into the flux?
Pardon?
What would happen if you stuck this in the flux?
It would sizzle and you would pretty much just run the tip.
No.
You can... Some YouTubers dip their soldering irons in the flux, but it evaporates the flux before it has time to really solder.
That's better. Some solder. Oh, by the way, the lights are working.
Yep, very dimly, but they're working. Again, the reason why the lights are dim is because the battery is probably almost flat. And we'll have to put it in the sun to recharge. But there's not much sun lately. Mostly raining. If you're wondering why the audio is so crisp, it's because I'm now going to use my phone audio for the actual... We're going to have to beep that. What have you done?
I may have melted a little bit of plastic.
Oh well. Happens to the best of us. I've done it too many times. But mostly by accident.
Real good solder. That's a lot of flux.
Yeah, you only want a tiny bit of flux. Too much flux gets too oily, doesn't work very well. Too little, well...
The fix and negate.
Yeah. So when you first start, it is extremely annoying. It's the most frustrating thing you can be working with in the world because, well, you haven't got too much experience with it. Eli has experience, and so do I. I kind of just figured it out by watching YouTube tutorials and all that.
I got shown in school by William.
If you're wondering who William is just another friend of ours. In fact, he has another YouTube channel.
Hazelburn Forge. Let's see it.
We'll shout it out in the description.
He doesn't do any soldering. He does a lot of forging, as you can imagine. Yeah, that's done. That's a really terrible solder, but I'll turn that off because we won't need it.
Yep. Okay, so that's what we've done so far. So all we have to do is get the wires through where the wires are meant to come out and close it up with putting the end back on.
We can probably cut away and we'll get this put back together and we'll have some lunch probably in between this, but
yeah.
We'll get the heat gun out and heat shrink sorted and ready to go.
Okay. See ya.
Well,
We're back and we've finished the solar panel. As you can see, it's definitely not waterproof anymore, but it works. The battery is very flat. As you can see, Eli has got the heat gun pointed at me like it's a gun. Please do not take that seriously.
It's a heat gun. It has the word gun in it.
But it's not an actual gun, is it? It doesn't shoot. I mean, it kind of does, but it's hot air. For long periods of time.
Hands up.
Not happening, buckaroo. Anyway, so now we've got this lightning bolt. Now, this has been in my background for quite some time. This is a blue lightning bolt. And as you can see, right here, it's broken. Now, I've been twisting the cable together to make it work. Anyway, so I've been twisting these together. Today I actually want to have it, well, you know,
Maybe working.
yeah, heat shrinked up. So we're going to twist this together, get my soldering and waterproof heat shrink, and we're gonna heat shrink it up. So we're going to get the wires,
I'm
make sure
getting
they've got some
heat shrink.
length.
This is your soldering waterproof.
Yep. So
We
this
probably
one
just
should
want
be
a white one, maybe.
white one's like for really tiny wires. This red one should do just fine.
Just slot it over.
So you have to slot it over.
I'll get this ready.
Now I need to give myself a bit more length for it to work.
So this isn't gonna take nearly as long as the soldering.
Yep.
Shouldn't.
So I'm going to have to strip this end. Now, if you want to know how I like to do my wiring, in the description and also in the corner of the screen somewhere, you will see a link option to my How I Wire Wires video.
Oh, and William's channel.
Yep, and
as
William's
mentioned
channel.
earlier. That is a bit of a word. Oh,
Okay, this is not playing ball with me today, which is not good.
I'm just on the floor now.
Yeah, Eli's cheerless.
Yeah, Sim stole it.
No, your cheer's right there.
Well. So, he's probably showed these off.
Yeah.
How my heat shrink works. But I'll make sure you guys can see it. So I'm gonna come around here behind it, and I'm gonna show you. So it's got a bit of solder in the middle. Goes there for something. I'm guessing waterproofing.
Yeah.
Yep. And that just, you heat it up with the heat gun and it should shrink around it. In theory, if you have a random straight piece of wire, I could try how that works. With maybe not a piece of solder.
We will get there after we finish this one to demonstrate it some more. Okay, so here we go. So I've twisted it together here. This is unsoldered and ready to be soldered with the heat shrink. So we're going to pull this over. Make sure that your solder is dead in the middle of where your connection is. The red bits here are the waterproofing, and that will melt. We move the other heat shrink in case they
One or
start
two?
shrinking. 2 gets really hot, which might be ideal for the solder, and will shrink it quicker. But there's a chance that we might burn something.
So we'll just try one for now.
Yeah, try 1, shrink it up, and then very lightly with 2.
Okay, just check that camera's good, so they can actually see what we're doing. So we've got the heat shrink right down here. And we're kind of just pointing the heat gun at it and...
Yep. Then you want to straighten it out.
Maybe just a light blow with the one.
And that should do it.
That's heat trunked and soldered.
So keep that straight so when it cools, we don't need any more.
I'm just hitting it with a bit more to make it a bit smoother.
So leave it straight so when it cools, it doesn't cool bent. Because once it cools down, it goes completely rigid. So it's not flexible like the cable.
Or actually, this sort of stuff does
Although
come out flexible.
the blacks, that heat shrink there is quite
It's just
flexible.
general heat shrink, which you just slap around the wire once you've soldered it. It's the kind of stuff we use at school. Because we just...
Now, one thing I do recommend is if you have like a PC USB fan, just to blow on your work to make it set quicker.
Or just take it outside on a cold day.
Yes.
In New Zealand, that very much works. Sorry, in New Zealand, take it outside on a normal day.
Yeah.
That cold. That should be good.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to put it back where it was. If you guys can remember where it was.
I'm going to find a piece of spare wire just so we can get a closer up shot.
Yeah. If you're wondering why this disco ball is off, it's because I had to unplug this to get it from where it was. But here we go. Set it up here. And we will plug it in. I will hide the cables later.
We don't need to show off any more than really just that.
There you go, guys. Working perfectly again. Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit pixelated in the clip, but...
Better than nothing. Eli, stop blowing the house up.
Oh, this is the heat gun he has. You can get some warmth to it. Don't stick your hand in front of it. Very much hotty hotty, like soldering iron. That's ouchie ouchie. Okay.
Okay, so here we go. We've got something else to test with. Now these are trailer lights, light-wise. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect the reed up to the reed. And we won't do the rest. But just to give you an example, so we're just going to connect the reed up to the reed. Do we want to strip this or not? Just connect it.
Just connect it, just so it just can just have an example. So this is just using a generic piece of Do we have a longer piece?
No. You can get longer pieces of heat shrink that you can cut yourself to whatever length you need it to be at. But in my kit here, it's more of just all the different types of, or all the different sizes, lengths of already made waterproof heat shrink with the tiny bits of these black heat shrinks. It shrinks up real well, real quick, and that will do that. Very quick, very easy, very simple.
It doesn't necessarily have to look good on this, but yep, so...
Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hang on.
Talk to you then.
Wave.